Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual on Firstpost, where we get you the top 50 stories from around the world. I'm Alison Lagrange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin. Now, first from West Asia, Israeli military reported that about 250 projectiles were launched by Hezbollah on Sunday. The Iran-backed group said that they targeted Tel Aviv and southern parts of Israel. Hezbollah added it was for the first time that it launched attack drones on Ashdod naval base, and Hezbollah also launched missiles at the Gilat Army intelligence base in the suburbs of Tel Aviv. Israeli defense forces launched a barrage of airstrikes on Beirut's southern suburbs on Sunday. The attack took place after military issued evacuation calls in Hezbollah strongholds. The Israeli forces said that they destroyed 2 apartment blocks and Hezbollah command centers. The military claimed that the command centers were deliberately embedded between civilian buildings. And Iran is set to hold nuclear talks with France, Germany and Britain on Friday. This follows a resolution by the United Nations International Atomic Energy Agency denouncing Iran. The UN agency had criticized Iran last week over a lack of cooperation. France, Germany and Britain also backed the resolution. Iran says it will also discuss the issues of Palestine and Lebanon during the meeting. And Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan spoke with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin on Sunday. Erdogan expressed his desire to expand trade between Ankara and Moscow. Both of the leaders also discussed bilateral cooperation between their nations. Erdogan reiterated his call for peace amid the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. And the foreign ministers of the Group of 7 nations are meeting near Rome today. They will discuss the conflicts in West Asia and the Russia-Ukraine war. The foreign ministers of the G7, comprising the UK, the US, Canada, France, Germany, Italy and Japan, will be joined by ministers from Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, the UAE and Qatar. And spiking is set to become a criminal offence in the United Kingdom. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer will hold a meeting with police chiefs, industry executives and transport bosses later today, where he will encourage more action for women's safety. The government plans to implement this law following an increase in spiking cases, including both drink and needle spiking. And far-right candidate Călin Georgescu has made a surprising leap in Romania's presidential race, overtaking the pro-European Prime Minister. The initial exit polls had shown Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu in the lead, but the far right is expected to miss the runoff, with nearly all votes counted, and Georgescu leads with 22.59%, while Ciolacu trails at 19.55% of the vote. And Yamandu Orsi, a left-wing politician, won Uruguay's presidency. His victory marks the end of 5 years of conservative leadership. Orsi, from the Broad Front Alliance, narrowly defeated Álvaro Delgado of the National Party in a tightly contested runoff election. Delgado represented the centre-right Republican coalition of outgoing President Luis Lacalle Pou. And at least 7 children were killed and 33 others with sustained injuries in a road accident in Peru. A bus carrying students collided with a van and plunged off a highway in the Moyobamba province. Police and firefighters swiftly responded and carried out the rescue operations. In India, violent clashes erupted over a survey of mosques in Uttar Pradesh's Sambal city. 3 people died and 20 police officers were injured in the unrest on Sunday. The violence began during a court-ordered survey of the mosque, which claimed to be built on a Hindu temple site. Internet services have been cut for 24 hours, and schools are closed for students on the 25th of November. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the nation ahead of the Parliament winter session. He slammed the opposition parties and said they try to disrupt parliamentary proceedings by resorting to hooliganism. He urged the opposition not to indulge in such activities and to contribute fresh ideas. And Pakistan officials have brokered a 7-day ceasefire between rival sectarian groups. The truce ends days of clashes in the northwest of the country that have killed over 80 people. The unrest began last week when gunmen ambushed civilian vehicles, killing dozens, mostly Shia Muslims. In retaliation, residents in Karam had targeted Sunni Muslims. And a massive fire ripped through hundreds of houses at a slum in downtown Manila. The fire started yesterday and burned for about 8 hours. No casualties have been reported. Several fire engines and fire boats were mobilized to douse the flames. The cause of the fire remains unknown. And a cargo plane flying from Germany crashed in Lithuania earlier in the day. The mishap took place near the airport in the capital of Vilnius. And according to the firefighters, at least one person was killed in the accident. And at COP29 in Baku, nations agreed to a $300 billion annual climate finance target, and this will be to support poorer countries in combating climate change. Many countries criticized it as inadequate to address the scale of the crisis. The agreement, reached after extended negotiations, replaces a previous commitment of $100 billion annually. And the U.S. state of Pennsylvania has received heavy snowfall over the weekend. Some areas received at least 17 inches of snow. Thousands of people in northeastern side of the state were without power. Several businesses struggled as without power, their customers suffered. And meanwhile, the U.S. state of California was devastated by heavy flooding. A man was found dead in a vehicle submerged in floodwaters. The region is bracing for more precipitation and snowfall. A winter storm warning has been issued for the region of Sierra Nevada. And Storm Bert has wreaked havoc across the UK. The floodwaters submerged homes and businesses. Rescue personnel used boats to take stranded residents to safety, and people were seen using buckets to clear the deluge as communities struggled with the aftermath. In Bolivia's La Paz region, a landslide was triggered after hours of incessant rainfall. At least 6 people were rescued from the debris and suffering from hypothermia. The landslide affected nearly 40 houses, as per the authorities. This was the region's first rainfall after months of drought. And relentless rainfall in Gaza has inundated shelter camps. The rainfall has led to severe flooding in the tents, damaging food supplies and personal belongings. The harsh winter weather further exacerbates the suffering of the displaced Palestinians. And on to business and tech news now. Indian stock markets jumped today. Market indices, Sensex and Nifty, rose by about 1.2%. This is one of the highest jumps Indian stock markets have seen since early July this year. Analysts say that the poll victory of the ruling BJP in the Indian state of Maharashtra boosted investor sentiment. Maharashtra is home to India's financial hub, Mumbai. And Howard Lutnick, Trump's pick for U.S. Commerce Secretary, is reportedly set to deepen his ties with the crypto market. His firm, Cantor Fitzgerald, is in talks with a company that operates the cryptocurrency Tether, and they reportedly plan to launch a lending program using Bitcoin as collateral. And the German finance minister says the acquisition deal for the country's Commerce Bank will go ahead. Italian banking giant UniCredit bought a large stake in Commerce Bank in September of this year. Since then, it has been ramping up pressure on the bank for a takeover. However, the German government has raised objections to the deal. And French retail chain Carrefour has dismissed reports of disruptions in the meat supply in Brazil. Local reports have claimed that Brazilian meat packers stopped supplying meat to Carrefour. And Carrefour operates 1,200 stores in Brazil, selling mostly domestic beef. Earlier, the firm's CEO had said that they would remove South American meat from its shelves in France. And Swiss voters have rejected a proposed law that would have given more power to landlords. It would have allowed landlords to restrict tenants from subletting their rented properties. The amendment was passed by Parliament in 2023. At that time, the government argued that tenants were increasingly subletting their rented homes via Airbnb. And Bernard Looney, the former CEO of BP, will join US-based data company Prometheus Hyperscale. He has been appointed as the chairman of the firm. Looney resigned from the British energy giant in 2023. Now, Prometheus Hyperscale said that the new chairman will provide guidance on the company's growth plans. And the US government reportedly plans to reduce federal grants for Intel. The company was initially set to receive $8.5 billion under the Biden administration's federal CHIPS grant. Reports suggest this amount may be reduced to less than $8 billion. The adjustment considers a $3 billion contract Intel has secured for manufacturing custom chips for the Pentagon. And India's antitrust regulator has reportedly dismissed a request from Apple. The iPhone maker had asked the Competition Commission of India to halt the release of a probe report. The report found that Apple had breached India's competition laws. And British Cabinet Office Minister Pat McFadden has said that the UK and NATO should lead the new arms race in artificial intelligence. He was speaking at the NATO Cyber Defence Conference in London. McFadden cited threats from Russian cybercriminals targeting Ukraine and its allies. The minister also announced plans for a new AI security lab. And the Australian government has abandoned its plans to penalise social media companies for spreading misinformation. The government had proposed a bill that would impose fines on social media firms if they failed to curb misinformation. The proposed fines could reach as high as 5% of a tech firm's global revenue. And moving on to sports news, and we start with cricket. India beat Australia by 295 runs in the Border Gavaskar series opener in Perth. On day 4 of the match, Australia were chasing the target of 534 runs. Captain Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj struck 3 wickets each, and the hosts were all out for 238 runs. India now lead the 5-match series 1-0. And the first day of auction for the 2025 edition of Indian Premier League ended in Riyadh. And here are the highlights. Rishabh Pant was sold to Lucknow Super Giants for a record high amount of $3.21 million. Pant was closely followed by Shreyas Iyer, who was sold to Punjab Kings for $3.16 million. Jos Buttler became the most expensive overseas player. The Englishman was sold to the Gujarat Titans for $1.86 million. And England's batter wicketkeeper Jordan Cox suffered a thumb injury. The 24-year-old was ruled out of the upcoming Test series against New Zealand. In Cox's absence, Ollie Pope will step in as England's wicketkeeper. England will play a 3-match Test series in New Zealand starting on the 28th of November. And in football, Manchester United were held to a 1-1 draw by Ipswich Town in the Premier League. United's Marcus Rashford scored the opening goal 2 minutes into play. Ipswich's Omari Hutchinson hit an equaliser just before half-time, and both teams scrambled throughout the second half but could not score the winning goal. And Liverpool beat Southampton 3-2 in the Premier League. Liverpool's Dominic Szoboszlai had scored the opening goal in the 30th minute. Southampton's Adam Armstrong followed through to take the scoreline to 1-1. Martes Fernandes then gave Southampton a brief 2-1 lead in the 56th minute, but shortly after, Liverpool's Mohamed Salah levelled the score. Salah then scored again from the penalty spot just before the final whistle to seal the win. And Leicester City sacked Steve Coopers as the main team's manager yesterday. Cooper was in charge of the Premier League team for just 5 months. The Leicester management was reportedly unconvinced by the team's Premier League performance under Cooper. According to reports, Leicester City could name a new manager before the weekend. And in tennis, Italy beat the Netherlands 2-0 in the Davis Cup finals. Italy's Matteo Berrettini beat the Dutchman Bottic van der Schulp, and this in straight sets of 6-4, 6-2. World number one Yannick Sinner followed the suit and beat the Netherlands Talon Griekspoor 7-6, 6-2. And the World Chess Championship final begins in Singapore today. The Indian Grandmaster Gukesh will take on defending champion Ding Liren of China. The 18-year-old Gukesh is a favorite to win the fortnight-long showpiece event. For India, Viswanathan Anand last won the World Chess Championship in 2012. And Red Bull's Max Verstappen won his fourth Formula One Drivers' Championship in a row. The 27-year-old finished fifth in the Las Vegas Grand Prix. A significant points lead that he accumulated throughout the season ensured that none of his rivals could surpass him. And Russia and North Korea have signed a protocol for sports exchanges in 2025. This came after the sports ministers of two nations met in North Korean capital yesterday. According to the state media, the Russian side also visited North Korean stadiums and viewed a Taekwondo demonstration. And in entertainment news, Oscar award-winning musician A.R. Rahman's wife has broken her silence on the rumors circulating online regarding their separation. Now, she stated the reason behind their separation is her health. The musician's wife called him the best man in the world. This comes after people started linking Rahman and Mohini Day. And rapper Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, has been sued for sexual assault. The complaint has been filed by a former America's Next Top Model contestant. She alleges that the rapper strangled her in New York City in 2010. The alleged victim was a model and a dancer in the rapper's music video. And singer Zayn Malik paid an emotional tribute to his former One Direction bandmate Liam Payne. During his performance in England's Leeds, a message appeared on the background screen. The message stated that Malik misses the late singer. Payne died on the 16th of October after falling from the third floor of a hotel balcony in Argentina. And singer Adele wrapped her Las Vegas residency concerts over the weekend. She delivered an emotional speech during her last concert. Adele said, and I quote, "I don't know when I next want to perform again." The singer's Weekends with Adele residency began in November of 2022. Earlier this year, she announced that she has decided to take some time off. And singer Dua Lipa is on the Asian leg of her Radical Optimism tour. She is incorporating new elements in her shows to surprise her Asian fans. The singer said in an interview, and I quote, "You never know what I might have up my sleeve, but I think you're going to like it." Dua Lipa is now scheduled to perform in India and South Korea. And Hollywood star Brad Pitt collapsed on the track while filming a car crash scene for his upcoming film F1. The actor was seen stumbling first and then collapsing on a mat held by the crew. The film will release next year in June. And Wicked opened in the North American theaters with a business of nearly $114 million. This amount came from nearly 4,000 theaters. This brings the film's global tally to $164.2 million. The film is based on a Broadway show starring Ariana Grande in the lead role. Meanwhile, the film Gladiator 2 opened in the North American theaters with business of $55.5 million. This brings the global haul to $106 million after its US release. The film features Paul Mescal, Denzel Washington, and Pedro Pascal in the lead roles. And the premiere of the film Moana 2 was organized in London. Stars of the film, like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, directors Jason Hand and David Derrick Jr. were in attendance. And the film is set 3 years after the events of the first film that released in 2016. Moana 2 sails into theaters worldwide from the 27th of November. And the red carpet for the Golden Horse Awards in Taiwan was rolled out. The Best Film Award went to an unfinished film, which is a docudrama about a COVID-19 lockdown in China. Hong Kong actress Chung Seo-ting took home the Best Leading Actress award for playing a deaf girl in the film The Way We Talk. Gay drama Balami won several awards like the Best Leading Actor, Best Cinematography, and Best Editing. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
Hello and a very warm welcome. I am Gusheen Garland and you're watching Firstpost. In the next few minutes, we